Okay, so first I need to teach you a lesson, and then you're going to work on what I teach you about. Okay? So, Trevor.
What?
While you're thinking,
I have a question.
what's your question?
Can I work on that stuff still?
Not right this minute. Right now I need you to listen.
No, today can I still do it? Today will I have a chance to do it?
Yes.
Okay. That's what I want.
Can I teach the lesson now?
Yeah.
Thank you. Can you sit in your chair the right way, please? Okay, so today we're going to talk about the table of contents. The table of contents is a way to chunk information together to tell the reader what you are writing about. So today our goal is going to be, I can create a table of contents.
I can create a table of contents.
Contents.
Contents. Awesome. Jacob.
I have made one.
That's okay. So if you think you've already made one, you're going to bring it to Mrs. Cummings or myself, and we're going to look over it and edit it and maybe see if we can help you change it up a little bit to see if you need to. But first we're going to look at some examples of a table of contents. So in reading, we read this book. We were reading Cheetahs, right? Our nonfiction book. If I open up Cheetahs, you can see that the second page in says contents. This is a table of contents page. So talk about meeting a cheetah. So the first couple things I need to know. Build their speed. I know if I want to read about how fast they can go. Trevor and Kaden. If I need to know how fast they're going to go, I'm going to go to this page to read it. What's for dinner is a clever way to say what they eat. So I know if I want to read about what they eat, I'm going to go to page 19. Okay, if we look at the other books that you guys were reading, this one's the one about deer. The different chapters for the white-tailed deer. Chapter 1, mealtime in the meadow, so probably what they eat. Surviving in the wild, so how they survive in the wilderness. So if I wanted information about the white-tailed deer, I would open it up and say, okay, here's the specific information I want. I'm going to go to page 26. I can do the same thing. The ones about butterflies has a table of contents. There's a riddle to start. If I want to know about the actual butterflies, I'm going to go to page 6. If I want to know about the stages, about the 4 stages that the caterpillar goes through, go to starts on page 8, but then it goes through page 18. And it tells us, so if I want to read more about the chrysalis, I'm going to go to page 16. So the table of contents is to help guide us through the book, to tell the reader what information is in that story. Sadie created a table of contents. Sadie's in the workroom.
Do what?
Sadie created a table of contents. She chose to write a lot about kickball. She said, I know a lot about kickball, so that's what I'm going to write about. She said rules, outs and fouls. The balls is chapter 3. Chapter 4 would be teams, score, where do you play, and the different types of balls. So I would help her with this and say, well, maybe we should put the equipment that you need up here, and then the rules, or rules and then equipment. Because if I don't have the proper equipment, I may not keep reading this because I don't have the balls that I need to play kickball or the field that I need to play kickball, maybe I won't finish reading this because I know I can't play it in. If I'm reading it for the purpose of wanting to use this information, I probably wouldn't continue. Trevor, may I see your paper, please?
Okay.
The paper you wrote on yesterday.
Yes.
So Trevor worked with Mrs. Cummings yesterday, and they came up with this list. And this is not exactly a table of contents, but it's a really good list that he could organize into a table of contents. So he's talking about Mario Kart 8. So he talks about the wheels and the bikes, the cars and the parts. But maybe he would start by talking about the different gaming systems, because not all the gaming systems
Like an Xbox 360.
will have Mario Kart. Raise your hand, please. What do you want to say?
That might
Excuse me. So not all of them, not all gaming systems have Mario Kart 8. So he's probably going to talk about that first, maybe the controllers that you need. Because if somebody didn't have the gaming system or the controllers, they may not continue reading about it. So that would be a choice that they could make then. And it would be a logical order. So today what I want you to do is look at the information that you have, the different lists and the sentences, and see if you can organize or chunk the information together to create a table of contents. Think about having it in a logical order. Does it make sense in the order that I put it on the page? So I want you to ask yourself that as you're writing. Does it make sense in the order that I put it on the page? And once you think you have a good table of contents in your notebook, Mrs. Cummings and I want to edit it. So see the spelling and maybe help you change the order, or maybe talk to you about the order, why you put it that way. Because it might make sense to you and maybe you were confused a little bit. And that's totally okay. So we're gonna want you to ask you to explain your thinking to us with the order. Raise your hand please if you have a question. And then we're also gonna help you with the spelling before you put it on a final draft onto a different paper. Once you put it onto a different paper, we're going to hang on to those that are not in your book. And then we're going to give you a sheet where you can create a title page, write the title, and then draw a picture. At the top of your table of contents, I want you to put what you're writing about. So if I was writing about cats, I would put cats and then do my chapter 1. Maybe types of cats. Chapter 2, how to care for cats. If I had Mario Kart, I would put Mario Kart 8 at the top. Then chapter 1, gaming system. Chapter 2, controllers.
I'm not gonna do chapters.
Well, we want to divide it up into chapters, right? Because that would make sense.
I can
Well,
only
a
read
chapter?
pages.
Trevor, I'll help you.
A chapter can just, so we want one chapter to be like what you would write in a paragraph. Because it's going to be your page with a picture. Remember kayaking rules?
So, a chapter is a sentence.
I'll show you the book that you missed when you weren't here, buddy. I'll show you. Okay, if you're confused.
Yeah, we can show you the
I'll
example
give
that
you an
everybody else
example
saw.
and I'll show you, okay?
Adam, do you have a question? Yeah, so it can be a simple paragraph, right?
Like chapters in a chapter book are really long. Like chapters in like non-fiction books, they're like 5 is like the most pages that there's really big chapters.
Yeah, and sometimes there's just 1 or 2 paragraphs, right? Yeah, so it's pretty simple. We just have to write 1 or 2 paragraphs and draw a picture so that it all makes sense.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions about what we're doing today? Maddie,
It's not worth looking at, but can you like sit by someone?
you may sit next to somebody, absolutely. Maybe you can bounce ideas off of somebody and say, hey, I'm not sure which one I should put first. What do you think? That would be a great use of a partner or a friend. Kaylin, you're just stretching. Anybody else have a question? Emily,
Yes.
just a second. Keegan and Jacob. Thank you. Emily, can you repeat your question, please? We're not starting our story today, because yesterday we started putting things into sentences, right? So now we know kind of where we're going with it. So today we want to chunk our information, think about how we want to group it and order it. And we're going to put it in a table of contents. If you think you're finished, have Mrs. Cummings or I look over it. Okay, who can tell us what we're going to do? The directions. Abby.
We are going to make a table of contents.
Yes, what does our table of contents need to have? Crystal. What does our table of contents need? So it needs to have chapters. What goes at the top? Okay, what goes at the top of our table of contents?
You don't mind, I'm just gonna type
That's
what
fine,
you're saying.
yes, absolutely.
Is that okay?
Yep. Who can help him? What goes at the top of our table of contents page? Jacob.
Title of
The title. Good. So Mario Kart 8. Kickball.
Football.
Dogs. We need to make sure that we have the chapters. Chapter 1, what it is. Chapter 2. And they need to do what? They need to do what? Do they need to be in an order or can they just be all over the place? Abby, they have to have a sequential order. They have to make sense. And everybody needs to have an introduction. We don't have it written yet, but we need a space for it. So we're going to learn about introductions at a later time, but I just want you to make sure that you have it in your table of contents, because it's going to go first. An introduction, just like we have an introduction paragraph, right? So can everybody look at me and nod at what this is coming to? So just like when we write a paper, we have an introduction paragraph. We need an introduction into our book of information.
I forgot how to do an introduction. It's up there.
We're going to teach you.
And then I also want you to have a place for the conclusion in your table of contents. Abby,
Is there a limited or how many chapters?
there is not a limit or a set amount. I want you to have at least 4 chapters, but you can absolutely have more.
Do you, I'm gonna interrupt you just for a second. Just think in your head for a minute, Alex. You have to do some writing for each one of these chapters. So,
You do?
do you think
How
it would
many
be
sentences?
a good idea to have 30 or 40 chapters?
No, if you're gonna have so many.
No,
Thumbs up
because
or
that's,
thumbs down?
I mean, we don't have time for a 30 chapter book, which would be amazing to have a 30 chapter book, but we don't have time for that. So think about the really important things that people need to know about your topic and make those your chapter headings. It's just practice for the table of contents, because then we're going to put it in a final draft form, and we'll show you how to do the final draft form another day. But Misty Hook and I just really want you to get a rough draft form and get your ideas formed and your thoughts formed ready to go.
How much sentences do we need in the chapter?
We will be talking about that on Monday during writing. So right now you don't even need to worry about that. What you need to worry about is how do you want to set up your book?
So you have this. Hey, Trevor.
The chapter.
So would that mean that you would have some gold words in there somewhere, and then you would explain the gold words in the glossary? Okay, so I'm gonna show you how you're gonna make this rough draft into your final draft.
How do you say green in Spanish?
How do you say green in Spanish?
No, I'm looking
But I don't say this as good as Miss Cook because she is the Spanish speaker.
My mom, when she was in Spanish, she had
Okay.
to like, it was just, how do you say it? She had to
You
say
need
it.
a exactly why that is on that copy.
She got them wrong. They were like playing we got them wrong. Five things.
Hey, keep working on those table of contents. You guys are amazing and awesome and wonderful.
No, so you're like this. Second boy. Fourth. No, so you see that like.